सम्पूर्ण भिडियोको साथमा उपस्थित भएका छौं। कृपया हाम्रो भिडियोलाई ध्यान दिएर अन्तिमसम्म हेरेर आफ्नो प्रतिक्रिया तलको कमेन्ट बक्समा व्यक्त गर्न भनी नभुल्नुहोला। दर्शकबिन केही वर्ष पहिले मेमोरी किङ भनेर चिनिएका विजय साई यति बेला विदेशी मेमोरी किङ नेल्सन डेलिसले लाइभ अन्तर्वार्तामा उनको यसरी लिएका छन् परीक्षा। विजय साईले यसरी लाइभ चेटिङ गरेको हामीले भिडियोमा सजिलै देख्न सक्छौं। तपाईले हाम्रो भिडियो अन्तिमसम्म हेर्नुहोला। विजय साईले के गर्छन् नेल्सन डेलिसको साथमा, कस्ता चिटिङहरू गर्छन्, आफै औलाएर तल कमेन्ट बक्समा आफ्नो प्रतिक्रिया व्यक्त गर्न भने नभुल्नुहोला। हेरौं उक्त भिडियो।
You have good memory.
Excuse me. I want to explain about this. Everything is based on divine power.
Okay. This was kind of the first weird, real instance that feels off to me, but as you'll see later, maybe makes sense for this culture or people from this area of the world who believe in certain religions. Okay, let's keep it at that. He's about to tell me that the gift that Bijay has is a divine power, meaning he was born with it, meaning it's something that God chose specifically for Bijay, no one else. To me, that seems like a very easy way to just brush things under the rug, right? How can you do this? Well, God made me that way. Okay. What we'll find out later is that he did work on this. He did realize that he had a gift and that he practiced a lot and that he actually uses techniques as well. I don't quite know what that means. We'll see later, but he has a divine power. I, as a USA memory champion, do not.
With the blessing of Goddess Kalida Devi, he got this power.
So you're saying he was born with this power?
That's divine power.
A divine power.
Divine power. Goddess.
In technique.
Okay.
In technique.
Okay. So
me, no divine power?
no, which
Because I was not born with it.
he has been selected out of 4 to 8 billion people of the earth
Yeah.
by the goddess. I didn't get, he didn't get. So this is God gift. So, first of all, this Nepal is the place of God and goddess.
You can start seeing that I'm a bit annoyed by this. This is not what I want to hear. Anyways, I'm going to skip a bit here because we're here to look at BJ, not his sidekick. When did you realize?
But 2 years. 2 years. 2 years.
2 years old.
It can takes about 20 minutes for me to read the books.
Okay.
And 130 minutes to memorize the books.
Okay. So what he's saying here, to read any book or memorize any book takes him 20 minutes. Whether it's page, 10 pages, 1,000 pages, 20 minutes. And then 1 hour and 30 minutes to, he says memorize, but I think what he means is to recall the information that he's trying to get out. Interesting. Doesn't make sense to me, right? If you have 1 page, 10 pages, 1,000 pages, there's more and more information on each of those sizes of pages. So how can it be the exact same time? That doesn't make any sense from a mathematical physics perspective, right? But this is what he's saying. Okay. At 2 years old?
2 years.
2 years, okay. In Nepalese?
Nepalese.
Only Nepalese, yeah. Okay.
The divine power. I have practiced very hard, right? And invented a technique and also divine power.
Okay, so you mix the two together. Divine power and technique.
Actually, and I meditate long time. I study 18 hours per day.
Okay.
अनि कति दिन गरेको त पद्मासन
1 महिना 14 दिन.
Okay, he did Padmasana. Padmasana.
Yoga.
Yoga. Yeah.
Padmasana.
No, it's
Padmasana.
very difficult asana. It's called Padmasana.
Okay.
This is the asana of God and goddess.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
1 महिना 14 दिनसम्म
It's very
1
difficult.
month, 1 month, 15 days,
14 days
14 days continually eating. Up to
Jana.
6 days, he understand. Otherwise,
1.5 months.
1.5 month, it's impossible. That is why he got the gift of God.
Would you like
Blessing
to
of
try
God.
same asana?
No, I can't do that. I don't bend that way.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is the thing.
So he's saying, he meditates a long time. From 2 years old, he was practicing this divine power. He invented his own memory techniques that, I guess, sit on top of this divine power and help enhance or control this power that he's been given, right? He makes a big point throughout this conversation that meditation and yoga, or what I understand to be yoga, as a very integral part of the whole process. You can see here, I'm like, what the hell is going on? All right, so let's can we try? Can you close the door? Yeah. Can I give you a book?
Yeah,
Are we try? Yeah. Please don't rip the page.
okay.
I know you go fast. Okay.
Okay.
So this is a book that I just read. It just came out in English.
Yeah.
So how does this work? I give it to you,
Yeah, मैले again
and then what? You
you
look at the book?
can take about 20 minutes read the book, right?
Okay.
To memorize 130 to memorize the book. To read
Well, that means, within 20 minutes, he will read and he will read on this book.
Yeah.
Then he memorizes 1 hour. I think
1.5 hours.
1.5 hours.
You will memorize
He
that.
memorizes the whole book.
Okay.
And later on, then you can ask after.
Thank you.
Chair.
Cheer ल्याएर बस्नु
So I don't want to take a whole hour or 20 minutes. So maybe I could choose.
20 minutes for
5 pages.
the read of book.
Whole book.
Okay.
Whole book.
Why don't we start with just one page?
One fish,
Just one page. I choose one page.
one
One
page,
page or one paragraph, I think.
one page. Take 25 minutes memorize one page. Okay.
No. One page as fast as you can do it.
के भन्नु?
One face. Okay.
Yeah, just to save time. Is that okay? One page.
Okay, one page.
Okay. This is simple. Simple
That's
survey.
okay. We start simple. Simple.
Simple survey.
That's okay. It's still very impressive. For me, if I look at one page, it takes me maybe an hour.
सुरुमा you can check my whole body.
Whole body. Check
Take
out.
my photo. Take my mobile.
If the other
Put your mobile there.
I have.
Take your jacket off.
Put. There. Because nobody should doubt.
I agree.
Check it. Quiet everything.
In your pockets, nothing.
No, nothing.
Okay.
Okay, back side.
Back side.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I mean, okay.
Okay.
Okay, sit here.
So then one page is very good. Okay.
Just one page.
Simple.
Okay. So this page 269 here.
एकछिन मलाई एकछिन है
Oh.
So what is he doing?
There is a divine process.
Okay.
Divine process.
Divine process and Kali Mata.
Okay.
Goddess Kali.
No magic.
Okay.
Kali Mata एकछिन यो लग्दा हुन्छ यो बाहिर हाल्नुहोस् अब यो पर्दैन
After another.
मजा बाहिर
That's okay. That's not gonna give you an
बाहिर
answer.
बाहिर
He's never seen this book before. It's just printed. I'm choosing a random page, honestly. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
This page, or you could, yeah.
एक पेज मात्र. You look tiny. And
268
Sure. Yeah. You could do this.
269
Yeah. This one, 269.
with a bottle एकछिन है with a bottle in his hands when he felt the mountain shift underneath him the water
So now he's
dropping
reading the page. I didn't expect him to do this. I was expecting him to do his crazy screaming that he does, the talking in tongues, but maybe this is part of the technique method, but he's reading the words on the page. And you can notice that he's not saying the words perfectly, but he's basically just reading it once through. There's no repeat or review, and it's in a language that he doesn't really know. So this is impressive if this is going to work.
Open door after rolling about 100 feet. The retent coach on a bolter. Surumoting the second step according to Iron Monja account of.
Okay.
यो भनेको टेक्निक हो भन्नु न यो चाहिँ टेक्निक हो भन्नु न अर्को चाहिँ डिभाइन पावरमा चाहिँ पिटिटी हुन्छ यो चाहिँ टेक्निक हो भन्नु त
कसरी टेक्निक
यो चाहिँ टेक्निकको माध्यमबाट गए एक पेज मात्र टेक्निक
दिस इज ओन्ली
Also, English is like
whole book is different.
A book चाहिँ गुटुटु हुन्छ.
So at this point, this is super interesting to me because he's saying here that this is technique. Now, all he did was read out loud, which means as he's saying the word and moving on to the next one, he's processing the information and remembering it, memorizing it, storing it, whatever his process is. I don't know what that little outburst was at the end. Maybe it's part of the process, God speaking to him. I don't know. Seems unnecessary. Seems like if I did that suddenly when I was memorizing, it wouldn't help me at all. But what's interesting here is he's just talking, right? So it's not even that he needs to suddenly review. Oftentimes when I memorize something really fast, I need a moment. I put the information away, but I need a moment to consolidate everything that I just stored really quickly. He's not doing that here, which is pretty impressive. Sometimes during my memorization, if I do the consolidation while memorizing, which can happen a bit slower, I can do what he's doing, start talking normally. If you've seen me memorize a deck of cards on Chris Ramsey's channel, he was impressed that I could keep talking about it before I actually recalled it. And that's kind of similar here, although I don't know how you read something live once through and then immediately start to talk, right, without consolidating. It would be slipping away. And again, the information is in the book. His manager doesn't have it. You know, I read the book, but I don't have it. The guy out the corner there, the government official, doesn't have it. And he just read through it once and it's in his head, right? That's what he's claiming. Just like that, it's all in there. That seems a bit of a stretch for me, but let's see what happens.
If you give this book, his pronunciation, divine power is different.
Okay.
So this is the only technique.
Got it. Okay.
Otherwise, if he read through divine power,
It's faster.
Yeah.
different
Technique.
formula.
This is the formula.
अब लेख्ने
This whole book, you will finish within 20 minutes.
Okay, that's fine. Let's start with this page. So they're just explaining here that if he had used his divine power, this is where he would have been a lot faster. He would have done the whole screaming and shouting thing. But here he was using his formula, his divine power. I don't know why he just didn't use the divine power. If he could do it faster, doesn't make sense to me. But maybe it's like, if we're going to give him a little bit of credit here in his universe of religious abilities, that maybe, you know, it's a power that you can't always use, or there's, you know, you don't want to call on your God to provide this power too often. I don't know. That still sounds absolutely absurd to me, but whatever. The point we're looking for here is, can he memorize what he says he can memorize? And is it impressive? And do we believe him, right? However he wants to explain it, in the end, fine. I guess, what can we do? But I want to know if what he's doing is actually real or if it's fake. Can I see the phone?
Phone?
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you turn it off?
No charge.
It's off. It's off. Yeah. Okay. Just so that you're not recording.
यो पनि
Then repeat slowly.
yes.
Okay. So now.
Checking.
No. I did it again. Yeah. Pockets. Yeah. Nothing. Yeah. Okay.
अब
So now what?
memorize 30 minutes.
Yes.
Yes.
So you go over it in your head.
No idea.
So now is where he's, I guess, going through his information, consolidating it, speaking in tongues, whatever this is, to communicate with his God. I don't know. This religious stuff really doesn't sit straight with me, but again, I'll address that later. But this is what he's doing. I'm being as respectful as possible just to let him do his thing. And just to remind you, no one else has seen the page that I showed him. So, if the guys on the side were trying to relay information through blinking or gestures or whatever, it would have been impossible. Nobody had this book. Nobody knew the page or saw the page other than him and I guess myself. You piece of paper? Yeah, I don't have any, but I will inspect whatever they...
One page.
Take one page out. This is from a notebook. Listen, they've never seen this book. This page is blank. There's no markings on it. So how much time do you need now?
After 30,
It's 30 minutes.
Whole 30 minutes, not now.
Okay.
Beginning to read 30 minutes.
Why do you have to write it down? Why on paper? Why can't you say it? Why can't you say it?
Divine power and regulation.
But if you know it,
No permit. Not permit by the divine. You should sit down here and write. Not
can you type it on a phone?
He will write down here in this page, whole page.
Can you type it?
Type गर्न सक्छु.
Type on the phone.
I want
No.
Can you write it on the wall?
No.
Can you? At this point, I actually, rewatching this, feel kind of bad that I was interrupting him. One thing I hate is when I'm trying to consolidate information is being interrupted. I have to focus. I don't know what I was thinking here. I'm maybe purposefully trying to throw him off a little bit, but he clearly is focusing on something and working through some information in his head. So I shouldn't have been interrupting here.
He will do in front of you. He will do in front of you. Not on the table, not... You sit down and read.
So yeah, I'm being a bit obnoxious here. But what bothers me is in all his demonstrations, he's writing out the answer on paper. Why? Why can't, if you know it, you know it. So say it. You can, paint it with a brush on the wall. You could type it in a text message to someone. You could say it out loud. So why does it have to be written? And his answer, I forget if it's here or later, is basically, this is the way that the God is giving him the information. That's it. Okay.
किताब boxes na. Give one book.
Down?
No, that's fine. You can use this. He's going to write on the back of this. Again, this has no correlation to the book that I... So at this point, he's literally writing out, apparently, the page that I had him memorize, word for word. And I could see that he was a little uncomfortable with me filming him, with everybody watching. I think in a lot of his demonstrations, he does it off to the side. And that's a little suspect. But I appreciated that he let me film this and kind of hover over him. But what was interesting, he would not let me, in the middle, take the paper and examine it. I could see out of the corner of my eye that he was writing actual words, and there was no modification made anywhere from this point until he gives it to me. It's what he's writing. Okay. His explanation later for this is that the process wasn't complete. It's a divine power and divine process, so it needs to be completed. It's God's word going through him. So to share the incomplete message or have me intervene is not allowed. So let's fast forward a little bit here. It's just him writing. Again, if you want to see the details, you can watch the full version in the description. So at this point, his demeanor's changed a little bit. He's gotten a little more stressed, a little more serious. He's written a lot down. I'd say 3/4 of the entire text. I don't know for sure because I can't read it yet. But at this point, he's clearly trying to get something out of him that he's forgotten or that's not as well memorized. But suddenly, after all this talk, for the last number of minutes, he wants me to move to the other part of the room and for me to not film him and to not look. I don't like that, right? Obviously, the whole point of this is to show as clear as possible what is happening. I didn't really have much of a choice. You can see I tried to kind of keep the camera on him. I could still see him out of my peripheral vision, I'll tell you that much. He did not touch anything. He did not access anything. He was where he was, sitting in his yoga pose with his hands like this, sometimes waving them crazy in the air and doing this gibberish, talking in tongues thing. What I would guess is that, he really believes this is some divine power and that this process is God speaking to him. I'm not comfortable with that, but again, I'm not a religious person, so I could understand how someone from a very religious part of the world might really interpret, in the same way that I forget something and then suddenly it comes to me. I just say, hey, my